Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be making something delicious and something cheesy. We're going to be making some cheesy potatoes.
Since you're here, hit the like and subscribe button and make sure that the notification bell is ring. Check me out on social media. That way you can get notification of all my new recipes.
To start off with our ingredients, we're going to need 3 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. You could use different cheeses. You can use pepper jack, Colby jack, whatever cheese you want to go with. We're also going to be needing 2 cups of whole milk, 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and finally for our cheese sauce we're going to need 2 teaspoons of garlic puree, or 2 garlic cloves chopped up, or 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. Now for your potatoes. Now this is going to vary on the size of potatoes you have, okay? My potatoes, it looks like they were in season, so they were kind of decent sized potatoes. So what I did is I peeled them and I sliced them with my mandolin. Now be really careful, a mandolin can do some harm, so be really careful using that. So after peeling and slicing each potato, I put them and arranged them in my baking pan. Now, like I said, this is going to vary depending on the size of the potatoes, but this allowed me to get the exact measurements of how many potatoes I needed to cut. So this actually ended up taking 8 for the size of potatoes that I'm using today. But like I said, you could have some larger potatoes than I'm using, or you could have smaller potatoes than I'm using. So that's how I measured that out. So peel and slice and then place them in your baking pan. That way you could get the exact measurements. And I'm kind of like a little bit towards the top of the lip is how I stacked everything. So with the cheese sauce and extra cheese in there, this is going to be perfect and it's going to feel very nice. So the reason why I got them in water is so that way they don't turn brown on me, because I don't need these right now because I still have to make the cheese sauce. So keep that in mind. If you do prep these ahead of time, put them in water, because if not, they're going to turn brown and discolor and they're going to look a little ugly. So just let them soak in water. Okay, so you want to turn your heat onto low. When we make any sauce or any gravy and we do the roux, you want to make sure that your heat is low. So we're going to let this come to temperature a little bit, and then we're going to lay in our butter. Now that it's somewhat heated up, we're going to go ahead and drop in our butter, and we're going to allow that to start melting. Now be really careful with this. You don't want the butter to burn, so just make sure that it's low heat. Now we're going to go ahead and add in our garlic. Go ahead and mix that garlic in with your butter. Now we're going to let this come to temperature just probably about for like another minute, and then we'll add in our flour. We want this butter to be a little bit hotter than what it is now. And keep stirring. You want to keep that butter moving. Like I said, you don't want this to turn brown on you. You want to keep that butter nice and clear. I'm on low heat. As you can see, it's coming to temperature. Yeah, the garlic, you're starting to smell that garlic. It's got a real nice smell, nice pungent smell to it. Go ahead and keep whisking. We're almost there. All right, after about a minute or so, you'll see that the garlic paste is already kind of sizzling. So now what we want to do is we want to add in our flour. So go ahead and add in your 4 tablespoons of flour and mix that together. Now since we're making a cheese sauce, we're really not going to be cooking this roux dark. So we just want like a light roux. So we're going to be letting this cook for about a couple minutes. When we get that butter incorporated into the flour, and we're going to let that cook for about 2 minutes just to cook out that flour taste. But when it comes to a roux, you got to stay active on that whisk. You want to make sure that you're whisking. You got to keep that whisk moving. Okay, so I think we're about right where we're at with ours. So right now it's got a nice light brown color. That's about what we're going with. So now we're gonna go ahead and take our milk, and I'm gonna add 1 cup at a time. Now you're gonna notice that it's gonna start thickening up on you. Go ahead and put half of that mixture in and go ahead and incorporate it. That was about only a half a cup, so let's go ahead and add a little bit more. Just go ahead and mix that in. Now you're gonna be thinking like, hey, it's like really thick. No, it's not working, but that's just the process. Let's go ahead and mix it in. It's gonna be a little thick. It's gonna be a thick gravy at first, but once we add in the other cup, it's gonna come out nice and smooth. And then we're gonna add in that cheese, melt it all together. So you just wanna, at this point, you just wanna continue whisking. See, right now it's too thick. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and slowly add in the rest of our other cup of milk. Now you're probably thinking like, hey, this is too loose. Nope. Look, this thickens up quick. We still have to incorporate the previous roux that we had with this new milk. Plus, we're gonna be adding in cheese. So you wanna make sure that you got everything nice and smooth. You don't want it loose, you don't want it chunky. You wanna make sure that you incorporate everything. Now just go ahead and mix, and we're gonna bring that milk to temperature. Now, even though I had that milk out to room temperature, you still wanna heat it up. So that's about 70 degrees, so we shocked the temperature. So now we're gonna just keep whisking, make sure that we incorporate all the flour mixture, and just keep doing this thing. All right, right now is a perfect time to add seasoning. Go ahead and add salt, pepper to taste. Go ahead and add some salt. Okay, we'll just add a little bit because now we're gonna go ahead and add the cheese once this comes to temperature. Now this sauce is actually the same sauce I use for mac and cheese. So this sauce is actually good to for many things. So if you want a good cheese sauce, this is it right here. All right, now that we got the milk to temp, now we're gonna add in probably about half of this cheese. So we got 3 cups of cheese. I like to have, you know, some really cheesy, stringy cheese in this, but so we're probably gonna use about a cup and a half of the cheddar cheese. So we're gonna go ahead and incorporate that, and we're just gonna go ahead and let it melt together. Now as you add, just go ahead and continue stirring. It's gonna melt it, and then it's gonna incorporate. Once you get enough cheese in there, it becomes more like a workout because the cheese is gonna stiffen this up, you know, because it's gonna be pulling. So yeah, just keep whisking. If you feel your arms getting tired, you're doing good. And trust me, when I make this, your arm does get tired because you're constantly whisking. And then you got the resistance from all that cheese. I mean, look at it. Look at this sauce. I'm not even done yet. So we still got some more to go. So this is about a little over a cup and a half. You know, I eye this part because I go by the thickness. You know, because this is like the main part of the dish, so you want to make sure this has the right texture, the right flavor, because this is what's going to coat everything in the baking pan. So right now is actually a perfect time to check for seasoning. If you need any seasoning, right now is the perfect time to do that. Go ahead and add just a couple more shots of some salt. And actually, you know what, if I wasn't making this for the kids, adding about half of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper really does a nice kick to it. But this is for the kids, and I know they'll be complaining that it's too spicy. So just a little tip there. If you like a nice little kick in it, this cheese sauce with a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, it's really good stuff. After a couple minutes and you get all that cheese melted, nice incorporated, look at this sauce. This is gonna be wonderful with all those potatoes. So go ahead and keep this on low, and I'm gonna go ahead and drain out those potatoes and dry them up a little bit, and we're gonna put everything together. All right, so now that we have our potatoes strained and dried up a little bit, now we're gonna go ahead and mix in our cheese sauce. And we're gonna give this a toss because we want those potatoes to have some of this sauce all over the place. So just keep that in mind. really easy. I'll just go ahead and mix. I tell you, man, this is a workout. All right, so now once you see that pretty much all your potatoes are pretty much coated in the sauce, then we're gonna go ahead and transfer this over to our baking pan. Okay, after about 100 turnovers, it looks like our potatoes are finally coated. So, and when you transfer this over to the baking pan, make sure you get all the cheese that's on the side also. So let's go ahead and get our baking pan and get this ready for the oven. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and just butter up the bottom of our baking pan. That way it don't stick, because we do have a cheese sauce, so it does stick a little bit sometimes. So make sure you get the sides and the bottom of the pan. All right, now that we have our baking pan all greased up, now we're gonna go ahead and just bring in our potatoes, start laying them out. On this dish, you know what's the best part? Is the edges. When you get those nicely just, you know, cooked up edges, that's the best part. You know, we got that cheese. All right, do not pass up on this sauce. You want to make sure that you get that sauce in there. So if you see any little crevices, go ahead and scoop some of that sauce between there. All right, so now that we have all of our sauce and our potatoes in, now we're gonna just take the remainder of our cheese and we're just gonna go ahead and sprinkle right on top. Oh, I can't wait till this is done. I can't wait till this is done. It's gonna be nice and gooey. This is a little bit over a cup, you know, the remainder of what we had from those 3 cups. Because I did add a little bit more cheese into the sauce. Like I said, that sauce, you gotta just kind of eye it. Go ahead and spread some of this out. So we're gonna go ahead and cover this in foil. Now we're gonna cook this for about an hour at 350 degrees, okay? So for the first 40 minutes, we're gonna have it covered. And the last 20 minutes of the cook time, we're gonna be removing the foil, and so that way we can get a nice, you know, crisp on top and get a little bit of golden brown going. So 350 degrees for 1 hour, and the last 20 minutes, remove the foil. So let's go ahead and get this in the oven. All right, we got some goodness. Woo! Oh yeah. Whoa, that looks so good. Now I actually let this cook for about an hour and 10 minutes just to get that top of the cheesy potatoes nice and golden brown. As you see, we got a nice top there. The cheese sauce is really, really bubbly. Now we want to let this cool down because we want that cheese sauce to set. And if you see any little pockets of grease, go ahead and remove that. But yeah, this is done. I let it go for about like an hour and 10 minutes. But yeah, all we gotta do now is just let it rest. I could not wait for that 30 minutes. It's perfect. It's got a good cheesy sauce. And the best part, the part that I like, is these little crispy parts where the cheese chars up. That's my favorite spot. So let's go ahead and give this a taste. The potatoes nicely cooked, just cuts through like nothing. There's a good cheesy flavor. And this is just a base. You could do so much with this. You can actually dice up the potatoes and make like a cheesy potato casserole. Add in some bell peppers, some onions, some different herbs. This right here is just my base cheesy potatoes, and it's creamy. It's, you know, you got the softness from that potato. Really, really good stuff. If you're new to my channel, consider hitting the subscribe button. That way you can see future videos just like this. As always, I'll leave the link in the video description and in the comment section so that we can go to my website, cookingwithkirby.com, to get the full printable recipe. Now I have these videos. They're really good. You should try them out. Now y'all be beautiful and take care.